Like I said, this isn't exactly my natural inclination. I've had to learn this from examples. I think the best example was when my dad was as depressed as I've ever seen him, my grandma came, and she just made sure that every morning we had muffins. She didn't try to get to the bottom of his psychosis or delusions or whatever you want to call it. She just made sure that every morning we started the day off right. Because for mental illness, even exercising and talking with friends and eating right, that can be just as important as medication for treatment. Again, the treatment that we're ultimately seeking is holistic because we understand because we're talking about mothers and daughters and fathers and sons, not just cerebral soup that's somehow missing an ingredient. And I've talked all around America trying to get people to change their perspective on mental illness. But I don't think that's really what we need here today. Instead, the change that I so desperately want to see from the mental health care community, and NAMI specifically, is a network of support starting immediately from the ground up. I remember being so confused because I was never contacted as a part of treatment. I was just a son. And so as soon as a diagnosis is given, let's start finding ways that we can include family members and friends in those critical early conversations. I'm not claiming to be an expert in this field, but what I know more than anything else is that us ordinary people, we can play a key role in this by finding those small and simple ways to simply make lives easier for those people that we love. These are societal issues. And so if we want to change society, the easiest way to do that is by involving them directly. We can all just combat this with love and support and late night conversations and posts on social media, and the most important thing of all, uncomfortably long hugs. We can all simply speak up and speak out and be heard and show love and listen well. Now, there are many things that can and need to be changed about our mental health care system. But the bottom line is that we as human beings, we have to be a part of the human change. And if I've learned one thing having been raised in a patriarchal society, it is that there is nothing more weak than telling another man that you truly love him. And Dad, I love you. I believe in part that your journey has made us the men that we are today. Because we've laughed harder for all the time spent crying, and we've appreciated spring for all the winters, and we've marveled on mountaintops at all the valleys that lay below and behind us. Through your precipitous highs and seemingly endless lows, we have both loved more and been loved more. And all in all, I've just come to the realization of the intense beauty that it can exist in an uneven balance between mania and depression. So I want to challenge all of you to call one person who is in desperate need of your love, and let's make this world an easier and more loving place to live in. Thank you.
Good afternoon. This is Sam Vaughn for Sam's Sports Report, Sam's Mental Health Day. We're going to talk about schizoaffective and my story. Schizoaffective disorder is a rare type of mental illness. It's characterized by symptoms, both schizophrenia and symptoms of mood disorder. This includes mania or depression, such as schizoaffective bipolar type. Now we begin to, after we did my high school years, now I begin to do my college years. My first 2 years at Options at the school that had another learning disability school in Carbondale, my first year and second year and third year, I had a girlfriend my third year. For the last 2 months of school into the summer, I would say we dated about 8 months. The first time around, kind of the second time around, only we dated like a week before that year. Me and Maddie were also always friends, and then we decided to break up. We had always liked each other for those 3 years, or we figured that out after those 3 years. Now we go back to my third year. I always had anxiety. My fourth year, my grandma died. Even though I didn't end up liking what my mentor did at the time, I didn't remember what happened, which is very normal in a person with schizoaffective disorder. And then started doing things that were out of characteristic fourth year of options. Then I would say everyone else does it. That may be true, but not to me. It was also out of character. It was also every day. It would continue for about 4 years. Looking back into the situation, I really did not want to share this publicly, but I believe that even though it was not a good behavior, I had above water. Otherwise, I would have became psychotic before that. I would have became totally psychotic. Maybe I was psychotic into those whole 3 years. Then I thought, what's next? After my fifth year of options, if I was going to leave, I was going to leave a town that I liked, and I had staff that I liked. I also had 4 best friends. I decided I wanted to go to this school. I got a $12,000 scholarship, and they sold the school a lot better than it was. I also decided I wanted to live in a dorm. Bad decision, bad decision. I cried every day for 5 months straight. I didn't have many friends. I had maybe 3, and the other 2, I would quickly figure out that they were bullies. I decided to leave Lynn and go back to Carbondale, as me and my best friend got into a conversation before I left Lynn in about December. Maybe we shouldn't have had. We talked about we had similar feelings. I asked if he wanted to share something. All he had to do is say no, but that pretty much ended our friendship for whatever reason. He was probably my best friend, and I did not. And the day he returned to Carbondale, he did not want to hang out with me. Pretty soon, he did not want to see me ever. And then months came on, and then I saw him at a pizza place. I also had a lot more things going on. That night, a person had threatened me to go do some sexual things with them. Also, Maddie and me had decided to break up a few weeks before, and if that didn't influence me of going to Carbondale, I would be lying. We broke up, and I had a ton of things going on. I also formally saw my best friend that night that everything went haywire. Bad habits I broke up with me. Then I took medication that probably made me psychotic and suicidal. I also drank a lot of energy drinks that day. I would go to a shelter place to keep me safe and then return to home. This is Sam Vaughn for Sam's Mental Health Day. But
That line was kind of put there.
So I'm going to put a challenge to you, and this is how we're going to end the podcast. I'm going to have you tell your story on mental health. And you can take as long as you want. You can share as little as you want. You can share anything you want. But I'm going to have you tell your story.
Okay.
And I thought it would be a good idea. If you don't like it, you can change the idea. But I just thought it'd be fun to have.
Okay. Well, I got diagnosed when I was a sophomore in college with depression, but I knew.
Let's back it up. When you were 5 or 10 years old, did you have any anxiety that you remember?
Yes, I do remember having anxiety. Mainly because I just felt different. You don't feel like. I mean, like when you're at that age, acceptance and fitting in is the most important thing. And I never really felt like I fit in anywhere. Like I had like a tribe.